Hey guys, it's Amy at Zoe Beck, and I'm going to do my monthly reading stats for April 2021. I'm a little late. The weekend I was going to do this, I got sick, so I did not get to this, and then last weekend I was so busy doing other stuff, I never really got on my computer to do this, so we're a little late. But anyway, let's go through the stats, my reading stats for April 2021, just to keep myself on track. I'm going to go through my handy little list here. So, how many books did I finish? I finished 8 books in April. I did have a huge reading slump the last week of April, so this does not surprise me, but 8 books is still pretty average for me. I do usually 8 to 12 is about normal for me, so I still did pretty good because I read really a lot before I crashed. Anyway, how many books were physical? 4 of them were physical. 1 was an ebook. And 2 were audios, and then 1 was a reread that I count separately, and it was actually an audio text combo. I kind of switched from one to the other. I did not have any graphic novels or manga that month. I had 2 DNFs. I had put of the it's so bad of the books that I read that were from that I read. I only read 1 book that was on my TBR. Everything else I didn't read. Oh well. It was that kind of month, I must say. So how many of the books that I read were physically from my bookshelves or from the library? There were 3 of them that I physically owned of the 8, and 1 from the library that I read. So because again, I read kind of a split between my books, so that was pretty interesting, but it's funny how I still didn't read that many of my own physical books. How many was I still reading when I currently reading when the month changed, and I was still reading 6 books. I had started so many books right before and during my reading slump that that was quite a bit of books on the go for me. 6 is a high number. Usually I'm carrying over 2 maybe at the most, maybe 2 or 3, but 6, that's a lot. I didn't buy as many books that month. I bought 13 books, which came out to a cost average of about $10 a book. How many of those did I read? I only read 1 of them, so 12 of them went on my TBR. Number of pages read was 2,705 pages, which comes up to a total, for an average per day total of 90.2 pages a day, which is really good for me. Not where I'd like to be. I have a threshold. I don't like to be below 50 pages a day on average for the month. Anything over that is always good. I usually try to shoot for over 100, but I didn't quite make it because of my, of my reading slump. Sorry, my cat is attacking one of my bags. So, if you can hear that. Anyway, so I had a male to female split. Male, I only read 25% authors and 75% female. So that's a little bit higher than normal for the female, but not much. I'm reading more female than male right now, mostly. I did not have any translated books in April, which was surprising. Usually I have at least 1. I didn't have anything. I did have 1 POC author, so that was only 12.5% of my reading, so I'm still working on that. My star rating, I had 2 5 stars, I had 3 4 stars, and 3 stars, and then my reread, I would also have called that a 3, so that's kind of, so as I said, my ratings were pretty average for me. Genres I read was memoir, historical fiction, science fiction, historical fiction, classics, urban fantasies, and social studies. The only one that had all those were all 1 book, except for historical fantasy. I had 2 books that qualified for that. So that was 25% of my reading, and then everything else was split. So that was kind of a weird, it was, I mean, I had a pretty diverse reading month, you know, what I read. So those are just kind of my quick stats. I'm going this kind of fast. Sorry guys. My favorite book of the month was The Witch's Heart by Guinevere Gornichek, sorry. So I love this book. This again was a retelling of kind of the Norse mythology from a witch's perspective of somebody who's caught up in with Loki and Odin and all that stuff. And I just love this book. I cannot wait to own a copy of my own. I just don't want a hardback, so I'm going to wait for paperback. But I read it from my library and it was just fantastic. I just loved it for historical fantasy. It was just so great. It had so many elements I liked. I actually, not everybody does, but I had all the emotional feels to it, the ups and downs, it just went in ways I didn't expect, and I really enjoyed the ride of it through what, Norse mythology and things that Loki did and things that happened in the end in Ragnarok kind of thing. And it went in ways I was not expecting. I just really, really enjoyed it, and I can't wait to reread it. So I want a paperback to come out soon so I can get that. And then my worst book of the month, again, I went through a slump, so I didn't pick any of those books that I started and didn't continue with. But I did try to read the Half-Stitched Amish Quilting Club by Wanda E. Brunstetter. I tried to read this for the Bitter Single Ladies Read Romance for their read-along in April. And I just need to stop reading contemporaries completely, like that are from our time period, and definitely not this kind. This just did not go for me. I got like 60 pages in it. I was just, this is ridiculous. So I did not get along with this. I know some of them liked it. I don't think a lot of us did. I did not enjoy this, and I will be getting rid of this when I can sell books back. But I didn't like it, and it just wasn't, again, it was more of, it was just a contemporary story about a group of people who take quilting lessons, and they all had different stories. It was just, to me, it was very cliche and also very annoying with some of the ways the people acted. So I just didn't like that. So that was probably the worst book I read. So let's just go through my reading journal really quick. So, so you can see my books bought is a lot smaller than what March was, because March was insane. Now, unfortunately, I already know May is gonna be it's gonna be high because it's my birthday month. So we'll just enjoy that April was only 13, which is still more books than I read in the month, and I only read 3 off my shelf. It's ridiculous. Okay, here is my pixel, so you can see my reading slump is here where I didn't read anything, and here I just read a little bit to get started again. And then my numbers were pretty average through the month, because that's the greens and the kind of pinkish colors are kind of the more average where I want to be. And there's a few high number days, but really it was pretty average up until I had my reading slump. So I would have had really good numbers if I hadn't had my reading slump. So I did, I probably colored this in a book too early for this month. I think I have 44 that were on my Goodreads that had been read by the end of the month, and I counted 45 when I colored, so I just colored it. But I'm just kind of checking. I just want to make sure I'm on track kind of to read books. And then here's my bookshelf showing these are the books that I've read physically, or these are audiobooks and ebooks that are off my shelf. This is what I've read, and then these are my library books. So it's not everything, but it's kind of showing. I'm trying to, I need to draw more. But you can see I use my library a little too much sometimes. And this month I did use it a couple times. I have nothing really to add on my series. I did, because I showed this in March, because I did it then. I put my Kate Daniels that I started the series, that I finished. The Extraordinary Adventures of the Athena Club. I finished that one. So I did finish a few. So, and then, so I haven't made much progress on this, but, because I'd already done it from March. I wasn't thinking about that. And then, just the very last thing. And so this is, again, just another reading version of my, this is the log for the month. So you can see this is where my reading slump was, and I didn't read a whole lot. And then how it was pretty average. I did have a couple of big days, but mostly, and on the weekends usually. But most of them was pretty average. So I wasn't going to be a spectacular reading month. It was going really well until I had my reading slump. So that is it. That is my stats for April 2021. Do you keep stacks? I can't talk anymore. Do you keep stats? Are there ones you think I should be keeping that I'm not? As I said, I just try to keep them because I just like to see what the numbers look like by the end of the year, so it's fun to keep track. And this is just to keep me doing them every month, so I don't have to do it all at the mid-month or mid-year and the end of the year, because I like to do a wrap, a big one on that one to show all those. So we'll see how that goes. So anyway, I hope you guys are all doing well, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye.